would you pop open a gadget to Twitch and make sure that it's actually coming through live? Just to make sure. All right, so this is calculus. So let's go through our good old Canvas page. So the top thing that you'll see, other than the cool picture, is links to my Twitch channel, Discord server, and the Math and CS YouTube channel. So I'm going to live stream everything. It goes to Twitch. After class, I tell Twitch to export it to YouTube. Then Twitch deletes it after like 2 weeks or something, but it stays up on YouTube. So if it's like, oh crap, what did he say this morning? You can go to Twitch or YouTube. But if it's after the fact, then just get in the habit of going to YouTube because, like I said, Twitch deletes it. And that's why I've got all the fancy gadgetry here to get everything there. So we should probably talk about the syllabus because that's like a first day kind of thing. So let's just full screen that so we can see it nicely. Email. There's only 10 of you in class. It's pretty easy to get a hold of me. My office is literally right across the hall. And if you put bracket MAT111 bracket in your subject line, then like it highlights it and sorts it and stuff, and it makes it easier for me to keep track of stuff. So we're going to learn calculus. Our final exam time kind of sucks because it's the last day. Sorry. So, yeah. So don't book your plane tickets. Let's see. The book is, if you guys got my email from the other day, apexcalculus.com, Volume 1. There's also Volume 2 and 3 for Calc 2 and Calc 3, respectively. It's free. You can download a PDF in black or white or color. And if you want a print copy, then Amazon does the print on demand thing, basically, where it's and you're basically paying for the paper for them to print it on. It's like $15. You don't need a print copy unless you want one, but I don't know, because it's handy. So, and then, finally, everybody's a go. Excellent. Won't have to do that ever again, now will we, gentlemen? Yeah. All right, so the other thing you'll need is Edfinity, which I'll show you how that works here in a minute when we go back to Canvas. Okay, so probably the biggest thing that we need to talk about is that the way we're going to do grading for this course is going to be very different than probably anything you've ever experienced before. Namely, what we're going to use is called a specs grading system. So instead of you turn in something, I grade it, and then let's say like you really botch it, but there's something there, then I have to be like, well, is this 4 out of 10 or 6 out of 10? And then the pre-meds come to me and beg for one more point, and not that any of you guys would do that, right? Huh? Oh, because probably I'm on the wrong source, that's why. Because it's on the iPad source. So it should switch over in a moment, because I'm a dumbass. Okay, so yeah, it's been 2 months since I've had to do this, so let's see, what else? Right, so that's the usual way of doing math or grading, and it sucks. So basically what we're going to do instead is everything is at a 1 point. You either have it or you don't. And if you make some teeny tiny little mistake where you're off by a factor of 2 because you can't do arithmetic, but everything else is good, then good, you're good. Otherwise, you have to redo it. So instead of, like, because one of the things I hate about, like, both when I was a student, and then I'm sure you guys feel this way, like, you screw up a problem on the first exam and you bomb the first exam and you're like sort of screwed for the rest of the semester, right? Is that any fun? Not really. Okay. So the idea here is it's okay to screw up, provided that you learn from that screw up. Okay. So how this will work is we'll have a bunch of um, exams, right? But really they'll just be uh, opportunities to demonstrate mastery, and which we'll do in class. So you do your first attempt on something in class, uh, and then on all subsequent written assessments, you'll get all the problems or problems for all the things that you haven't yet demonstrated mastery for. So you might get a really thick, like thick with two C's, exam. I don't expect you to do all of it, right? It's up to you to do what you can. And then the rest of them you can do later. Um, and you can also reassess by doing basically an oral exam with me, where I'll give you a problem, you'll work it out, and then you'll explain it to me. And you can do those for 2 standards per week by emailing me. Uh, Give me some notice because I have to make up problems. Uh, and right. Okay. So yeah, the point of this is, if you bomb that first exam, you're not screwed like you would be. Uh, you could literally get a 0 on the first exam and still end up with an A in the class, right? The key is that you learn from the mistakes and that you get your trajectory moving upwards, not that you get it right away. Okay. Um, so there's 2 types of homework assignments. You'll have some warm-ups, which we'll talk about, and then traditional homework. Warm-up is basically like, think of it this way. Let's say you're in an English class. Well, most of you are in EQ this semester because you're freshmen, right? You're kind of screwed if you show up to EQ without having done the reading, right? It's a little hard to discuss Gilgamesh if you have not read Gilgamesh. There he is, finally. Uh, so, it wouldn't be reasonable to expect that you read Gilgamesh before going to a class to discuss Gilgamesh. So would it be reasonable to suppose that you should have thought about math before you walk into math class? Okay. The downside though is it's a lot easier to read Gilgamesh than it is to read a math book because we haven't taught you guys how to read math. In fact, nobody taught us. We just figured it out, and surprise, surprise, we ended up as mathematicians. So anyway, most of the warm-ups, me and the rest of the department, Dr. Gates, Dr. Insaldi, um, over the last couple of years, have spent a lot of time making short videos that are up on YouTube to kind of be that quick introduction to something. Do a couple problems, do it by 23:59 the night before. You're Gucci. You're ready to go. If you do it anywhere after 20, well, you can't because I locked it. But why is 23:59 such a magic number, other than it being right at the end of the day? Because then you do it, and I ostensibly can think that maybe you guys got at least say 7 hours of sleep before you show up for math class. Because I don't know about you, but calculus is a little hard to do when you're sleep deprived, um, or don't have 3 shots of espresso. So anyway, um, so do the warm up stuff beforehand. You can't make those up because that totally defeats the purpose. Um, and then the regular assignments, uh, I have due dates. Basically, those are suggestions to kind of keep you in marching forward, but you can do those after the fact without penalty. So, but don't procrastinate because, yeah. Okay, so basically, instead of just calculating a percentage, here's how we do grades, right? It's basically by the end of the semester, and that includes the final, how many things have you mastered? Pretty straightforward. And then I'll prorate sort of stuff at mid-semester. Okay, so Dean's excuses. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of sports travel this semester. How many of you guys are on a sports team? the spring sport. What sports? Okay. Yeah. It remains to be seen what's going to be going on with sports. Now, the good part about 8 in the morning is that even if you're going to Allegheny, you probably wouldn't have to miss this class, right? Because it's a long bus ride, but this class is at 8 in the morning. So, anyway. Um, yeah, so if you know you're going to be gone for something, please let me know in advance and so we can work around it. Um, this also is really important on the stop department. If you stopped or sick for whatever reason, COVID or not, right? Um, if you can't be here in person, you're going to be on Twitch live. If you can't be live on Twitch because you're puking your guts up or something, then watch the recording after the fact and then contact me um, to discuss it after you've reviewed it. Um, but I have to stress this: like, do I want to be here at 8 in the morning any more than you guys do? Like, I'd much rather be in bed right now. Yeah, I mean, it's the sun's not even fully up yet, right? So it's not just like, oh, it's so much warmer in my pajamas and it's raining and the rain is freezing outside and it's windy and it's miserable and I don't want to have to trudge to class. So I'll just sit in my pajamas in bed on Twitch and do class. No, right? It's there if you're sick or to go for after the fact. Special accommodations talk with me. We have this thing called the gentleman's rule. And like the US Constitution, the syllabus is a living document and can be amended. Unlike the US Constitution, there is not a does not need 2/3 of the states to ratify it. Any change, it's a dictatorial process, right? So, yeah, it's very rare that I have to make a syllabus amendment. So don't make me do it. I'll turn this car around right now. I'll do it. Okay, and we're all going to do our go passes for now on, right? Made my point clear this morning. Excellent. All right, so that's the syllabus. It's all on Canvas. Have a peek and read through the details. Okay, so Edfinity. Um, so if you look on the home page, you're going to have a list of, all the assignments with the dates and whatnot. And our first written assessment is actually Friday. So, surprise, you have an exam this week. But anyone to drop the class now? No? Kidding. Okay, so what's it over? It's basically over the prerequisite stuff, right? So, to do calculus, you got to be decent with algebra, trig, exponentials, functions, and logarithms. And so that's what those are 4 of the standards that I've put in to the course. And basically, you guys these would be practice problems for that to get ready for to brush up on your algebra and whatnot before you do that. Okay, the other thing is, so when you guys do this, if you click on something, and you'll get a window like this, and it'll say load infinity in a new window. Okay, then you guys will see something a little different than that because you can't, like, I'm already the instructor. So the first time you open it, it'll prompt you to do all the access stuff. Now, what you'll see when you go in, though, let's see, we want this one. After you do that, then you'll get in and you'll see the assignment. And this first assignment to do tomorrow night is basically how to use the system. It's pretty foolproof. You guys hopefully aren't idiots. Yeah, so it should be pretty straightforward. It basically tells you, like, gee, what do you think -1 times 1 is? Ooh, I don't know. This is hard. You type -1 into the box. There's a little, from your guys' view, there's a little, like, submit button. I also have oops, let me double check that I actually did that. Oops. Nope. Need to fix that. Okay. Customize max submissions. Nope, that's right. Okay. So basically, each question you can do infinitely many times, right? So if you get it wrong, it's fine. No big deal. Try it again. If you get it wrong like 5 times in a row, then probably you don't understand something, and that's when you want to come talk to me or somebody. So anyway, okay, so it's pretty straightforward. And so I've got that little simple assignment, the demo. Do that first. And then on Wednesday, we're going to basically talk about sort of big picture, what is calculus all about? So there's a quick warm up to go with that. So let me show you what a warm up would look like. So here is a video that Dr. Gates produced. So watch that. Then there's some exercises on infinity that are based on the thing. Okay. So we've tried to keep these really short. They should, the video should be 10-ish minutes at most. Problem shouldn't take you more than 5 or 10 minutes. They're meant to just kind of get us fired up for the day. So, all right. Any questions so far? Preguntas, Fragen? 9? No? Okay. So that's pretty much it then. Oh, the standards. Yeah, let me show you this. Okay. So the annoying thing about this standard, though, is that there's basically no way to make Canvas keep track of it. So I have to do the next best thing, which is roll my own gradebook on Google Sheets. And so this is what a blank one will look like. Let me blow it up a little bit. Let's see. So here's the list of standards. Okay. And essentially the way I've split this up is into sort of the almost like chapters. So preliminaries and limits. So the first 4 are basically like pre-calc stuff. We'll do a bunch of stuff with limits. Then we'll do a bunch of stuff with derivatives. Then we're actually going to skip over and do some integration, and then go back and do all the advanced stuff, the applications. So the order that we'll go through the book is a little weird, but we'll try this out instead of doing it in the sort of usual order. Right, okay. So basically, once I get it all working, I will send each of you a link to your own version of this that mirrors my master copy. And when I make a change, your mirror copy will reflect that change. And so you'll have sort of a live spreadsheet and can kind of see, keep track of where you are. Yeah, okay. So, but I have to do that individually for each of you and send you basically a Google thing. So, yeah, so that's a little clunky, but there's really no way to make Canvas do what I want to do. At least I haven't figured out a way to do it yet. Canvas is really good. Like if you want to do things this way, it's like, okay, great, here you go. But if you want to do anything kind of weird, it's like, nope, sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, so I think there's 35 standards, 25 of which are basic, and the other 10 of which are advanced, like application-y kind of things. You have to demonstrate mastery twice for the basic ones and once for the regular or the advanced ones. And yeah, so, all right, that's pretty much it. Any questions, comments, rants, raves? All right, so who is everybody? What are you majoring and why are you here? Why are you here?
I'm Sunny. This is my first time taking this class as a senior. I need a better grade on it, but I'm a bio major, chem and French minor.
Chem and français. Ah, très bien. Quel cours de français étudiez-tu? Or étudiez-vous, excusez-moi.
set bonus.
Okay, d'accord, d'accord. Any other French speakers in the room? Ah, darn. Okay, well, you get to get the brunt of my terrible French. Okay, and you?
My name is Ian Burns.
Ian Burns.
I'm a bio major on chemistry track.
Okay.
I'm Don Stylis. I'm pre-med on chemistry, neuroscience, minds.
Okay. Oh, where are you guys from, by the way?
From Singapore.
Singapore?
Indiana.
Where?
Mishawaka, Indiana.
Okay.
Greenwood.
Greenwood. And you are?
I'm Jake Paul. I'm a general ed major, so I'm still trying to find out what I want to do.
Okay.
I'm from Dyer, Indiana. It's actually kind of.
Miss Urangi.
I'm Rangi. I'm from Virginia, majoring in computer science. My name is
Okay.
My name's Sam Trailer. I'm majoring in psychology. I'm from Indianapolis.
Okay.
And Alex Moore, majoring in chemistry from Boulder, Indiana.
Okay. And it is Amore. Okay. Well, let me warn you in advance that there's going to be some jokes. Okay. Yes. Right. Because when the moon hits your eye, like a big pizza pie, it's amore. Right. Okay.
I'm Nolan Fisher. I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm majoring in computer engineering.
Okay. And did you get the computer science thing worked out, by the way? Okay, good.
I'm David Galandic. I'm a bio major, and I'm from Westchester, Illinois, Chicago.
Okay. And last but not least, this is the perfect opportunity for the Family Guy cutaway gag to. Okay, so Mr. McCorkle is not actually in this class, but he sort of is. Yeah. So you want to give him a brief spiel?
I haven't been through the training, so I don't know everything that it consists of and how it will apply in this class. But as of now, I am the SI, which is supplemental instruction instructor for guide in this class, and I will be holding not this week, but in future weeks after I'm trained, I'll be holding meetings that you guys can come to get anything you're guys confused on kind of cleaned up that we go over in this class.
Yeah, so how many of you guys were in either bio or chemistry right now? Because most of you are freshmen, right? All right, so did you guys take advantage of SI last semester in bio? Saved your bacon a few times, probably? Yeah, what about chemistry? Not really? Oh. Yeah, so we're trying to roll it out to more and more classes, but so Champ is going to be new to this, and we'll get him spick and span for it. But yeah, so it's basically like, I mean, like I said, those of you guys who were in bio last semester remember having SI, same idea. Um, his sessions will kind of, in terms of content, lag a little bit behind class deliberately. And probably next week, the thing to do would be review of the algebra and trig stuff if that's still not sticking. Um, excuse me. Because you guys, I mean, let's be honest. How many of you were doing calculus or any sort of math last semester? Yeah, that's what I thought. So we've probably got a whole lot of cobwebs that need some cleaning out, don't we? And if I held a gun to everybody's head and made you do the unit circle, how would that go? Not good? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's all right. You know, I get it. You forget things, but we got to clean out those cobwebs. So, um, yeah, so Champ will come to class every day, just like you guys. And Champ, I'll give you access to the Canvas page after class, um, and we'll chat. So he and I will basically talk weekly at minimum, kind of how things are going, uh, what I'm seeing that you guys are not are having trouble with, because that's perfect for him to then spend extra time on it with you guys. Same thing the other direction. If he's like, you think they're still really struggling with this thing that you thought they all were good on, well, okay, then that means we need to spend some time talking about it again. It's a two-way street. The other really important thing about it, though, is that it is anonymous. So, um, I mean, it's anonymous for me, right? So I will not know who of you guys has gone to SI or not unless you tell me, right? I mean, it's your information, right? He will not tell me. He will take attendance, and Dr. Lamberton will know who's coming, because then there's data to track, and so we can see that we can say that yes, people who go to SI at least X many times do on average Y better in a course. And we've got a lot of fantastic data on it, by the way. So believe me, it really does work if you take it seriously. But he's not going to tell me who's coming or not coming, just that people are or not coming. And so you don't have to feel like, oh, Dr. McKinney must think I'm stupid because I'm going to SI, or Dr. McKinney must think I'm stupid because I'm not going to SI, or, right, that you're going to get bonus points out of it or anything like that. Nope, that's not how it works. So, yeah. And we'll get Champ's info up onto the Canvas page with, once we figure out exactly when his sessions are going to be and all of that sort of stuff, we'll get that up there. So, yeah, good. All right, well, let's talk some algebra then. So let me just go into Edfinity and let's pull up one of the assignments here and just start talking about some stuff. Okay, so I want to go back to the Elgato. All right, so when you go into this, if you go in sort of as student mode, you'll get one problem at a time. It has a kind of a slick interface. Okay, but if let me actually do this. Let me do preview, because this will sort of show it to me. This is how you guys will see it. Okay, so which of the following is equivalent to, let me zoom in on that, k after the fifth, whole thing to the 4/5. So let me just write that down. K after the fifth, whole thing to the 4/5. So what do we got to do? What happens when you've got a product and then to an exponent? This is the same as, right, exponents are like people. When they're next to each other, they add. When they're on top of each other, they multiply. Oh, come on. Don't I get a chuckle out of that one? If you guys don't like my dad jokes, it's going to be a long semester. All right, so then we've got to multiply k to the fifth after the fifth times 4/5 would be, of course, k to the fifth after the fourth. Okay. All right, so remember? Yeah. All right, so in this case, this one is a multiple choice question. And so do we have our answer? Do we have the one that that's on here? Oh, guys, I'm an idiot. It's too early in the morning. What did I do? What should this have been? That should have been 4/5, not 5. Right, because what was the exponent that was 4/5, not 5? This is what happens when you don't have enough coffee in you. Okay, so what do we get? K to the 4/5 after the fourth, which is choice B here. Okay, so when you guys do these, then you just click B and hit submit answer. Okay, now obviously you're not going to see this because, well, yeah. And you'd say, okay, submit answer, correct. All right, now here's the thing though. If I go back to it, and some of these, the exponents are, or the numbers are randomized. Okay, so just because I had 5 4/5 doesn't mean that you will. Okay, but is the process really that much different if that number was different? Not really. Okay. What that means, though, is in particular, if you guys are doing homework together, which is fine, right? Your numbers may be different. Okay. And that's a good thing because it means that you've got to figure out, okay, if you're talking with somebody about a problem, what's the same, what's not the same, what matters, what doesn't matter. Okay. Um, yeah. Um, this one happens to be multiple choice. Uh, there are 5 choices, and how many submission attempts do you get for homework problems? Infinitely many. So, what should probably happen on the rare ones that are multiple choice? If you don't get them right, I'm going to be a really sad panda. Okay. Do you guys get the sad panda reference? No? South Park? Really? Kids these days. Okay, so let's go on to another one. Okay, so this one is a little different. And some of these, so one of the things that's kind of nice about this is that you can write exercises for it that break problems up into sort of steps. So for example, here, there are 2 answer blanks, and it's y equals, okay, so y, whatever it's going to be, is some sort of fraction. And what they want us to do is to put the numerator here and the denominator there. Okay, whatever it turns out to be. All right, so let's work it out and see what we get. So what do we need to do? We got 7x plus 4yf equals L. All right, so what do we want to solve for here? We want to solve for y. So what should we do? First thing. Yeah, let's move the 7x over. And then do what next? Yep, divide by the 4y. Okay, and yeah, we could rewrite that or something. Huh? Oh, 4f, yeah. Man, they'll just hire anybody to teach calculus here. All right, so that's what we got, L minus 7x over 4f. Okay, so that's what we would put in here, L minus 7x and 4f. Okay, now in particular, this one is good to point out because what's the difference between little f and big F? I mean, they're both the letter F. Does that matter? Yeah, this is case sensitive. Okay, so that can be, if you're getting something wrong and you think it's right, double check, for example, that you don't accidentally have caps lock on or something, because big X and little x are not the same thing. Okay, and submit answer, and of course we got it right. Everything's good, and we go on to the next one. Okay, so does this kind of make sense? How this will work? It's not rocket science. Okay, this one was like the first one, but a little bit worse. Let's go ahead and do that one. All right, which of these is equivalent to a to the negative first over 3x squared whole thing to the minus 2? So, good old negative exponents. All right, so what do negative exponents mean? Yeah, it's the regular exponent but flipped upside down. So something to the minus 1, or maybe say it this way, something to the minus 2 is the same as that thing flipped over, to the 2, okay? And then we still have an a to the negative first, so what's that going to do? It's going to move it into the numerator, and then I'm going to be pedantic and write this for now. Okay, so you can move from the numerator to the denominator or vice versa at the expense of a minus exponent. Okay, so are we Gucci there? Yeah? All right, and then I don't have to write the division by 1 anymore because that's silly. Oops, and I should go back to the L. Nope, I was still on the Elgato. Okay. Then now the problem looks like the very first one we did. What do we do with that exponent of a 2? Yeah, we sort of distribute it. So we get 3 squared a squared x squared squared. And then what do we get then? 9a squared x to the 4th. Okay, good? All right, now let me be clear on one thing just to make sure we're all awake. If I have x times y squared, that's x squared y squared, right? I get to distribute the exponents. But if I have x plus y squared, is this x squared plus y squared? No. Okay, why not? Yeah. Yeah, right, we got to FOIL it out, right? So what does it mean to square something? It means to multiply it by itself. Okay, so when it's 2 in the morning and you're trying to do calculus, x squared plus y, or sorry, x squared, blah, 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 x plus y squared is x squared plus y squared. That's not true. In fact, it's so not true that we mathematicians see it so often from freshmen that we have a name for it. It's called the freshman's dream. And it's not true, I'm sorry. Okay, so don't do that, but you will. You'll screw it up. Okay, so we have to FOIL it, and what do we get? X squared plus xy plus xy plus y squared, or, right, so we'd have to FOIL, okay? So the exponent gets to distribute over multiplication, but it doesn't distribute over addition. Okay, good? All right, so just a quick reminder there. All right, so what did we get for this one? 9a squared x to the 4th, this guy. Okay, good. Okay, so let's talk some lines for a minute. All right, so I've got the equation 9y minus 4 equals 7x, and they ask us for, in this particular case, the x-intercept, but there's obviously a whole lot more we can do with that. So what's the annoying thing about this equation? Like, it's the equation of a line, but is it obvious how any of this stuff works? Now, what form would you guys like it to be written in? Yeah, mx plus b form. Okay, so the slope-intercept form. So let's rewrite it in slope-intercept form. And so we'd have 9y equals 7x plus 4, divide both sides by 9, so we get 7/9 x plus 4/9. Okay, so what are these two numbers? Four ninths and 7/9 mean? Well, which one's m and which one's b? Yeah, 7/9 is m, and this is the slope, because the word slope totally has the letter m in it. And the b is 4/9, because y-intercept totally has the letter b in it. I have no idea why we use these letters for these things, but we do. So, actually, it's not confirmed, but the suspicion is the reason that we use m for slope is from the French monter, meaning to climb. Oui, oui, yeah, très bien. Okay, so, right, all right, now, in terms of a graph of this thing, what did they actually ask us, though, here? The x-intercept. And when does the x-intercept occur? When y equals 0. Okay, so the y-intercept occurs when x equals 0, and the x-intercept occurs when y equals 0, right? They're sort of flip-flop. So if we set y equal to 0 here, excuse me, then 7x over 9 would be negative 4 over 9, and so x would be what? Negative 4 over 9 times 9 over 7, negative 4/7, right? Because the 9s happen to cancel. Did I screw anything up or are we good? Yeah? Okay, so what do we get? Negative 4/7, which is B. Okay, good. So, while we're on the subject of lines, how would I graph this thing? I mean, I know the slope and I know the y-intercept, so what does slope mean, I guess? Right, so if I draw, I'll just draw in the first quadrant here. All right, so what do we have for our intercept? 4/9. Okay, so if let's say I have 1 up here, then 4/9 would be like here, roughly. Okay, and then what's the slope? 7/9. So what does that mean that I do? I go up 7 units and to the right 9 units. So I'd go something like this. Oh, God, that looks terrible. Let's try that again. All right, so I'd go up 7 and over 9. So that's going to be like maybe like this-ish, roughly. Yeah, is that okay? Or what was it? 7/9? Yeah. Okay, so what would slope 1 look like? Slope 1 would be a 45-degree angle, right? 7/9 is just shy of 9/9, so it should be slightly gentler than a 45-degree angle, roughly. Okay. All right. What's perpendicular to that, by the way? How do I get the perpendicular line? Right. So if let me pick a point. Let me just keep the same intercept, and let's say that I want this guy that's perpendicular. Well, I know the point it goes through, so I'm good there. But what do I know? What else do I need? I need the slope. Okay, so how do I go from a line to its perpendicular if I know the slope of one of them? So what's the slope of the perpendicular? Well, it's the general rule. You guys remember? I'm seeing a lot of this. Okay, almost. And there's a negative, yes. So if you take the slope and the perpendicular slope and you multiply them, you should get -1. Okay. So it's not just the reciprocal. Can't speak this morning. Reciprocal. It's the negative reciprocal. Okay. So what was the slope of our original line? 7/9. Okay. And so the slope of our perpendicular would be -9/7. Okay. Now it makes sense that if one of them is positive sloped, the other one should be negatively sloped, right? Because one of them is going up, and the other one therefore would need to be going down. So that can be just kind of your bullshit detector for if you've forgotten a minus sign, right? What's the only situation that wouldn't happen if the original one was horizontal, right? Well, if the original one's horizontal or vertical, what's the slope of a horizontal line? Okay, what's the slope of a vertical line? It's undefined or infinite, right? How do I get that? Well, it's almost like 1 divided by 0. Is that allowed? No, it's verboten. Das ist verboten. So, yeah. Yeah? Yeah? Gucci? Okay. All right, so good. And let's maybe do one more here. Good. Well, if I can take things and FOIL them out, can I do it in reverse? Yeah, of course we can. So, all right. Now, in this case, because it's multiple choice, what is one way of working this problem? It's an inefficient way, but it'd work. Yeah, just FOIL out all 5 answers and see which one matches. And that would work. Okay, but that's probably not the way to go. All right, so what's the trick for this thing? for something like this. This works particularly well because the coefficient of s squared is 1. I hate it when they're not. Okay. So what is the first thing I'm going to look at to try and foil this thing? I'm going to take a look at that fat old... Okay, so yeah, we can do this part in either order. So the coefficient of the s term is negative. And what that tells me is that I need a negative for one of them and a positive for the other. Okay, so that rules out 3 or 2 of them right away. Okay, what's the other thing that I notice? Well, the 6. Okay, or I'm sorry, I said that backwards. They're both going to be negative because, okay, so the fact that the 5 is negative and the 6 is positive. So the 6 positive tells me they both have to be the same sign. Okay, because minus times minus is plus, and so is plus times plus, right? The fact that the minus 5 is negative means that they're both negative, because the only way I can add 2 things and get a negative with them having the same sign is for them to both already be negative. Okay, so sorry, so that rules out actually 3 of them, not 2 of them. Okay, now, then what do I need to know? I know that the sum of the 2 numbers, okay, so if it's s minus something else, the product of those 2 things needs to be 6, and the sum of them needs to be minus 5. Okay, so 6, what are its factors? How can we factor in? 1 and 6, or 3 and 2. Okay, now we've already established that both numbers need to be negative, so we're either going to have minus 1 and minus 6, or minus 2 and minus 3. Which one of those adds up to minus 5? The minus 2 and minus 3 one. Okay, minus 1 and minus 6 would give us minus 7s, which is not what we got. Okay, all right, and then so that leaves us with E as a correct answer. Now D is of course ridiculous, because what would we get? We would get minus 6s plus 5, right? So if we accidentally flip-flop the numbers, that's what would happen. Now, my rule of factoring, by the way, is I give myself, I mean, unless I'm explaining it, basically 5 seconds to do it in my head. And if I can't do it in 5 seconds, I go directly to, all right, so what do we say this was? I go directly to the quadratic formula. All right, so if I have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then x equals, oops, you guys know the song? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Did you guys ever learn that? No? Okay. Well, yes. So Mrs. Gurley, my 8th grade algebra teacher, made us learn songs for these sorts of things. And at the time, I resented it because, damn it, how is this that hard? It's just a quadratic formula, right? This isn't rocket science. Then I became a teacher, and I was like, okay, this is actually kind of useful. So Miss Gurley, if you're out there listening, thanks. Now, this is a funny thing. I loved Mrs. Gurley. She was great. She also had a really sarcastic wit. But here's hilarious. What was her maiden name? Manly. Not kidding. Yeah. And it was Gurley, G-U, not G-R, G-I. But yeah, anyway. All right, so kind of cleaning some cobwebs out. All right, so what do you guys need to do before, let's go back to Canvas. What do you guys need to do before you show up to class on Wednesday? Okay, well, 3 things, yes. Do your COVID app so I don't have to kick you out again. Okay, the Edfinity demo, do that first. The preview of calculus warm up, do that second. and then start working on the algebra and the four review assignments to get ready for Friday. I split them up into 4 separate assignments rather than having one giant one, mostly so that I could kind of split it up by topic. So that was just for bookkeeping. Okay, but shouldn't be too bad. All right, good. All right, Ollie Z. Yes. Hang on one second.